Hey, we're going to turn my old Bel Air here into a big block bracket racer, so stay with us.
Today on Horsepower TV, we'll drop a 502 cubic inch big block into Chuck's Bel Air bracket racer, backed up with an automatic overdrive trans. We'll also install a new radiator, a set of power pulleys, and high-performance shifter. We'll take you to a New England dragway to discover the story of a crew chief who refused to let blindness dim his dreams of competition racing. So hang on for Horsepower TV.
Hi, and welcome to Horsepower TV. You know, there's nothing like breathing new life into an old muscle car. Well, like we did with our Mustang here a few weeks ago. Well, now it's Chuck's turn. In fact, he's got a perfect candidate for this 502 that we built up here in the shop recently.
Yeah, now I've got something that's been just languishing in my backyard begging for a new drivetrain. It's an original 427 4-speed 66 Bel Air. And hey, this thing's going to make a great bracket racer for a couple of reasons. First of all, it's got an engine compartment that's big enough to hold the biggest big block. Plus, it's a two-door sedan that's a lot lighter than the more popular hardtops. And finally, hey, this thing's got enough rear overhang to help us really plant the power.
Yeah, and with its plain white wrapper there, that thing ought to make the perfect sleeper.
That's right. Plus, it's going to be pulling dual duty, too, both on the drag strip and on the street. Of course, the cornerstone for this whole buildup is this 502 right here. We started with a GM Performance Parts short block, then added a Cam's roller valve train, and capped it off with Edelbrock heads, intake, and 800 CFM carb. Now, we figure this thing is going to crank out about 550 horsepower or more, and of course, once we get the old Bel Air built, we're going to take it to the track and see what kind of numbers it'll lay down.
Well, if you'll quit laying down on the job and help me get this hood off, we get started. Now, before we drop in this 502, we need to remove the carb, distributor cap and wires, plus the headers. Then we can install our lifting plate, and finally, the motor mounts.
Now, the motor mounts come from Energy Suspension, and they're made with urethane right in here to resist the effects of gas, oil, and chemicals. Plus, here's something else I like. They've got a positive locking device inside of them to help keep the motor in place, even if we should have a motor mount failure.
Now, before we drop our engine in, we want to go ahead and get these headers in place, and we want to do it now because squeezing these big tube hookers in later could be a real pain in the butt. We also want to use bungee cord here to help hold the headers in place. There. Okay, bring her on in. Let me straighten it up a little bit.
Clear this radiator support here.
A little more.
That looks pretty straight right about there.
Man, I wish we had this kind of room for my Mustang's motor. Drop her on down.
That was tight, wasn't it? All right, how are we looking on those motor mounts there?
Looks like we're gonna be pretty good. Come on.
Okay. Watch your fingers. All right. Oh, hit it the first time. Adding underdrive pulleys is a great way to slow down your accessories like your water pump and your alternator and pick up a few extra horses at the same time. Now, we ordered these from Moroso, and here's how they work. This is the crankshaft pulley, and it's smaller than stock, while the water pump and the alternator pulleys are larger than stock. Now, together, they combine to slow the whole system down by about 20%.
That big 502 is going to put off a lot of heat, so we need a radiator that's going to keep it cool and maybe shave off a few pounds at the same time. This aluminum radiator we got from Griffin puts right up in place of the original, and it even accepts the factory shroud. Now, here's what it looks like inside. It has two big rows of cooling tubes instead of four for more contact with the cooling fins. Speaking of which, these main fins here even have their own fins. That increases the area that the air passes through. Hey, how's it going?
Great timing, man. I just finished with the fan.
All right.
Let me give you a hand with this.
There we go. Get a boat started over here.
All right. We first showed you our MSD Digital 6 ignition back when we first built the motor, and well, now it's time to hook everything up. Now the first step though is to find a suitable mounting location for the control box and the coil, and to keep everything modular, well, I've already gone ahead and fabbed up a mounting plate out of some sheet aluminum. Now it looks to me like there's plenty of room right here above the heater box. Well, now with the coil and the control box already attached to the mounting plate, we'll just position it on the firewall here, and we can start wiring everything up.
Well, I'm all wired up for that, but right now we need to take a break. We'll be back with more of our Bel Air build-up right after this.
I'm not as fast as other people, but they may not be able to do it with their eyes closed either.
Later on Horsepower TV, the amazing story of a crew chief who sees with his hands and follows his dream of IHRA drag race competition.
Hi, welcome back to the Horsepower Shop and our build-up on Chuck's Bel Air Bracket Racer. Well, so far today we've managed to drop in our GM Performance Parts 502 big block. We've installed some Moroso underdrive pulleys, this Griffin radiator, and well, our MSD ignition. So now I guess we're ready for something to harness all this horsepower.
Well, what we've got here is a 4L80E electronic overdrive transmission. Now, this one comes from Jet Performance Products, and it uses heavy-duty bands and clutches, plus a 34-element sprag inside here to help harness that 502's torque. Of course, the valve body's been modified too for firmer upshifts, and it's got an internal gear reduction between the 1 and 2 shift and the 2 and 3 shift to help keep that motor in its main power band.
Now, according to my math, that makes that thing a 6-speed automatic.
Well, right you are, Mr. Calculator.
Why'd you call me that?
Well, because I can always count on you.
I hope I can count on you for a straight answer. Why'd you choose this thing over, say, a Turbo 400?
Hey, well, you know, automatic overdrives are a popular swap these days, and here's why. Most of the automatic overdrives, like this one here, have a deep first gear, which means we're going to get a good launch even with that 350 rear end that we plan on installing later on. On the other hand, a Turbo 400 is a 3-speed automatic with a tall first gear, and well, hey, we'd probably have to run a 410 rear end to get the same kind of launch.
Oh, I get it. With a 410, you'd be buzzing up the motor pretty good at highway speeds, but with the overdrive and 350 gear, you could cruise all day at 70 and get decent mileage.
Well, as good as the mileage could get when you're feeding 550 horsepower. Hey, I'll tell you what, let's get this thing on the jack.
Let's do it.
After lubing the converter snout with trans fluid, slip it in place, making sure it's fully seated in the pump. Next, install the dipstick tube, and after positioning the transmission, you're ready to bolt it in place. Then bolt the torque converter to the flex plate, and finally attach the mount to the transmission. Well, now the 4L80E is a lot longer transmission than anything that they offered in '66, so we're going to have to move the cross member back and fab up some new frame supports. Now I've already gone ahead and bolted up the cross member to the transmission to help establish that new location. Then, using some angle iron for the new frame supports, we attach them to the cross member and mark their location on the frame. Then, after grinding down to bare metal, we can weld them in place.
As you know, older cars don't have onboard computers, so we ordered this conversion kit from Jet, and the software inside has been custom calibrated for the Bel Air to control shift points, shift quality, and torque converter lockup. Now we want to mount this box away from any extreme heat or vibration, so as soon as I remove the seat and the carpet, we can mount it on the floor here. That way we can pass the harness through this original shifter opening. All right, this Velcro should keep the box secure. Now we'll connect the harness to the transmission once we install the shifter.
Speaking of shifters, we're going to use B&M's new Street Bandit shifter to control our automatic. Now check this out. It's made from billet aluminum and it has a rear outlet for the cable, plus a positive reverse lockout to help meet those drag racing safety requirements. After mounting it in a suitable location, pass the cable through the floor opening. Attach the cable mounting bracket to the transpan and the shifter arm to the transmission. Then connect the cable to the shifter arm. Oh, by the way, now's a good time to connect the computer to the transmission. Now, the final step is to adjust your cable, then check your shifter to make sure that you've got all your gears.
Well, right now it's time for us to shift gears and take a short break. We'll bring this Bel Air back in a couple of weeks to finish our build-up. Meanwhile, stay with us. More Horsepower TV is ahead.
Good job, buddy, good job!
Next, we travel to the IHRA competition at New England Dragway for the amazing story of the Blake brothers. Stay with us.
Horsepower TV's Race of the Week. Trackside reports from America's best grassroots drag racing events.
Like all of these events, this one's about the challenges racers and machines face in that contest for quickness. But our story's about one racer's challenge and the contest of life.
Top speed, something every racer dreams of, and something racer Harry J. Blake will never see again.
Jay used to work as a mechanic, but one day on the job he was busy at work on a big rig's wheel and tire assembly, much like this one, when the whole thing exploded in his face. The accident left him without a sense of taste, smell, and worst of all, his vision. But as you're about to see, Jay Blake never lost sight of his goal.
People don't conceive it could happen. They don't understand blind people can work on engines, or blind people can do a lot of things. So I knew going into it that I had to prove to them I could, and I actually figured there may be one or two people out there that would believe in me. And that's all I needed. When I had my accident, I lost my sight, my smell, and my taste. Your sight and your smell are two huge pieces of drag racing. And I gained it all through feeling the ground and hearing it.
Good job, buddy, good job!
It's an incredible rush when the car is a great launch and we make a great run. There's nothing better.
I started drag racing in the 70s. Actually, the first car I drag raced was a Cadillac my father had, and we took it for the day when we were in high school and came up here and ended up winning, and I had to tell him I got the trophy for working as a pit crew on a friend's car. Like 5 years later, we gave it to him at Christmas, told him it was for his car. He said, no wonder it never ran right. He makes the decisions. I take some of the blame. He works on doing the tune-up and things, and I concentrate on driving, you know. If I get good lights and things, he's going to keep me behind the wheel. If I screw up, then I'm in trouble. But it's actually been a good partnership, and it's fun. He's really worked hard to put this together. I'm really grateful to be able to be part of the whole program. You know, I watched Jay. This winter, this car was completely disassembled, reassembled, new transmission, engine, everything was all completely gone through. And Jay did it all in his garage. He asked me to come down and double check everything that he'd done. Everything was just right. And that helped me build my confidence in what he's doing. Because that's what it is. It's a process of learning about this whole thing for both of us. You know, being blind, it's only been 3 years, it's still something new.
I have learned using my hands that I can see incredible amounts more than I thought I could. And I take my time, and the more I do something, the more I know it and I see it, and the quicker I get. I'm not as fast as other people, but they may not be able to do it with their eyes closed either.
When you go in the burnout in the box, hit it hard, get them hot.
Communication is the key with the Blake brothers. Jay rides along with the help of radios.
Okay, I'm up. I'm gonna get ready, tightening all my belts, pulling it in, making sure we're in gear. I'm moving forward, putting my visor on pre-stage. Here we go. Looks pretty good, Jay. Made a little move off the pad. A little slow on the straight, through the light. I don't know how the run was, but we're slowing down. Felt pretty smooth. Hooked better than it did. Definitely hooked better.
Racing is a big part of the Blakes' lives, but it's not the most important part. Jake co-founded Follow a Dream Incorporated, a nonprofit organization taking the power of positive thinking to those like himself who have experienced a catastrophic event in their lives.
Racetrack's fun, but you can have a bad day real easy. When you go out and you do a presentation and you make a difference in somebody's life, or you make somebody smile who doesn't normally smile, it's an incredible feeling and very rewarding.
The Blake brothers truly exhibit the attitude to not only win at the track, but also to win in life.
Life is what life is, so you gotta make the best of it.
Next on Quick Tech, a look at cams and how to pick the right bump stick for your street machine.
Today on Quick Tech, we're going to talk about camshaft design and, well, which one might be best for your application. Now, basically there are two types of camshafts, roller and flat tap, and, well, we've got examples of each from our friends at Comp Cams. The most common camshaft is the flat tappet, and it's easily identified by the lobe shape. Now, the nose is a lot more pointed than the one on the roller cam. Now, the flat tappet cam has been around just about as long as the internal combustion engine itself, and, well, it comes in two different styles, hydraulic and solid. Now, both designs are simple, economical, and effective up to a point. Now, the fact that the lifter uses a flat face, and by the way, that's how it got its name, imposes certain restrictions on the rate of lift and how long it'll hold the valve at maximum lift. High-performance cams use a more aggressive opening rate to help increase horsepower, but as you increase the angle of the lobe, you also increase the possibility of the lifter gouging that lobe and causing damage. Now, that's not to mention the horsepower that's lost through the extra friction and the heat that it causes. On the other hand, the roller cam uses a tappet with a rollerized base to help address those problems. Now, obviously it's going to reduce friction, but just as importantly, it allows the camshaft to snap the valves open quickly, hold them at max lift longer, then snap them shut smoothly. A flat tappet cam just might be the right choice for you if you're building a street machine or a mild bracket racer, but you need to be aware of its limitations. Oh, and here's something else for you to consider. If you choose a solid lifter version, it'll allow you to rev your engine just a little bit tighter.
Hey, good point there, Professor Quick Tech. You know, I remember the time when these roller cams were only found in race applications, but hey, nowadays you find them under the hoods of all kinds of new cars as well.
You bet. I guess the manufacturers are starting to recognize the benefits too.
Well, right now it's time for us to recognize some of our sponsors. Stay with us, though. Hot Parts is next.
Horsepower TV's Hot Parts, a close-up look at the latest in high-performance hardware.
Say, have you got a 62 to 67 Nova and you're tired of saying, hey, I could have had a V8? Well, now you can give it more juice with this small block swap kit from Chevy 2 Only. Now, it includes the frame mounts and, of course, the necessary front sump oil pan. It's also available for late model blocks with a one-piece rear main. Now, the cost for this conversion kit is about $200.
Hey, if you'd like to convert your old steering wheel into a cool color-coordinated one, then check out this Signature Series wheel from Grant. Now, it features interchangeable thumb rests in an assortment of colors, including chrome and carbon fiber. Now, this thing's wrapped in a leather-like vinyl, and, well, you can wrap your hands around one of these for about $120. The extra inserts are another $20.
Say, when's the last time somebody busted your ball joint? Well, now you can do it yourself with this heavy-duty ball joint service set from Harbor Freight. Now, the kit includes the C-frame press and an assortment of adapters that allow you to remove and reinstall ball joints in virtually any vehicle. Now, you'll have to press your wallet for about 55 bucks.
Well, hey man, we're pressed for time. You can bust your ball joints later on. Right now, here's a look at next week's show.
We'll see how much new horsepower we can make on this late model Camaro. First, by swapping injectors, then the throttle body, bolting on performance pulleys, and a new computer control module. Also, Chuck and I will take you to Las Vegas to check out the hot hardware and other attractions of the annual SEMA show. And remember, high performance fun is what this show is all about.
For information about the products used in today's show and more, check us out online at horsepowertv.com. Horsepower TV is an RTM production.